Welcome to the Wide Podcast, yet another episode. Here we discuss life, law, business, and everything in between. My name is Hansen.
My name is Val. Karibuni sana.
Yes, mambo vipi?
Poa sana broski, how you?
Salama sana.
Mm-hmm.
Surviving Nairobi.
Literally. There's a pod that's actually called that, by the way.
Oh, there is.
Surviving Nairobi. It
Ninoma.
was hosted by my friends Hafare and Ivy. Shout out. They stopped Nini shooting, but there's a pod that's called Surviving Nairobi.
Okay. Now we are living it.
Now we are living it.
Yeah,
We're actually surviving it for
real.
real.
We are surviving Nairobi, man. Inafaa tutreki. Watu wa Netflix wanafaa kuja tu kushoot tu series about kuishi
Nairobi life. Actually, it's true. Hey, it's a whole other thing.
But anyway, we thank God we are here now.
Yeah.
Breathing.
In all things, we give thanks. In all things.
Siku zote.
Siku zote Mungu mbele.
But wiki imekwaje? How's your week?
Good. Nothing to write home about, but something caught my attention.
Ushaanza kucheka na
Make it make sense for me. I was thinking about like the 844 system and some of the things that tulikuwa tunaambiwa tufanye. Why were we being made to copy notes from a textbook into an exercise book? Na hizo ni textbook enye ni mzazi wako amekununulia ni yako. Why am I copying it from the textbook to the na copy from the textbook to the exercise book? Ya kazi gani? What was the essence of that?
I think I see why you it does not really come to think about it. Something just hit my mind actually right now. Why was I borrowing permission to go to the toilet?
Exactly.
Why am I borrowing permission to go to the toilet?
And it's a body. Na imagine kuna point ya tatu chane za kuambia usiende. Sasa unataka nifanye nini?
Ama unajua tumekuwa tukubwa tuna reason sana. At that time probably you'd be going to the toilet to do your own things or probably but why?
And even if okay fine, even if you were thinking that I'm going to do something there, what are the chances that I'm actually needing to actually go to the toilet? And why do I have to ask? Like,
teacher, may I go, please? May I go to the toilet? Why? It's come. Why am I begging? It may come, man. Lazima niende toi.
That thing.
And I think. Sorry, you're saying?
No, I'm saying also another thing. That thing for like when the teacher, like if your teacher sees you, says only like you're not even in school, like you're not within the school premises or anything like that, but you'd panic so much being seen by your teacher out there in public. Jukuna kitu ulifanya. I remember that used to be a thing in high school. Like for example, like when we've closed school, people live in different towns. Sasa nafika point kila mtu anaenda home. Mi nimesha clock out shule. Si ndio? Hata nimefika mahali hadi nimetafuta place hadi nimetoa hadi uniform, because there's some people who used to do that, like you change out of the uniform so that you can just like chill, especially if you come from that particular town. Then I remember some girls were punished the next time when we came, actually because the teacher saw them loitering outside in town. Na shule imeshafungwa. Why is that a problem?
Yeah, I am okay. Unajua back then watoto walikuwa so community. Okay, we are not like back then ya kitambo hivyo, but
kitambo not that old. That old.
Kitambo yetu. Yeah, and probably even just us, and I usually say we are millennials, so we are an in-between generation.
Yeah.
And we are a very tricky generation to understand, in the sense that we are a transitional generation. We have tenets of both Gen Z, maybe not Alpha, and the
millennials.
Boomers. They're called boomers or something.
Boomers, after sisi ni boomers.
Gen X.
Sisi ni millennials.
Gen Y. Yes, Gen Y. Then there's Gen X. We are Gen Y. Millennials ni Gen Y. But after Gen Y ni Gen Z.
Yeah, I should have figured that out.
So Gen X is and we are a transitional generation where those guys never had technology at all. Guys before us.
Yeah.
Then we came in that era where there was no technology. Then those technology started coming in our era. So we have been able to experience both
lives. Yeah.
And we know maybe benefits of being on this other side and not being on this
other side. Yeah.
On the other hand, kuna watu wengine wako extreme, sharp right. Wameenda. The way things are being. Hey, do you know? These children, like the Children's Act, for instance, it's expressed in the Children's Act. Corporal punishment is not supposed to be inflicted. Ufai kuchapa mtoi kumwambia
ati amefanya makosa
wewe
hivyo.
ndo ambia mamako ati
Hata hiyo sentence utamaliza ni bari tu utapata next.
my right.
My right.
Right ni wewe. As much as I'm an advocate, right ni wewe.
Right ni wewe.
Right ni wewe mtu wangu.
Hakuna hapo uwakili inaisha baby. Hapo hakuna kukua ati
the way we
advocate.
think, the way we think and the way we see life is totally different.
Yeah.
I shall say there's no day that I'll go swimming with my mom. But there's a very high chance, God willing, my children would go swimming with my wife.
Yeah. Wait, ngoja kwanza.
That is how different we are. I don't even think about it. Don't overthink it because it can get messy in your head.
as in, it is messy in my head. That's why I'm asking to clarify. Like,
yes.
Why is it that something that you never did growing up, or
no? In fact, my first sport was swimming.
Yeah.
No, cricket. Then swimming.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I had a very small stint with cricket, not so long. But I did swimming longer. But because of my height, that's when I went to rugby. Yeah, swimmers must be tall because of wingspan and everything. There's some science that goes into it. But yeah, my mother used to take me for swimming. She even got me a coach because I swam competitively for a while before I quit and moved to rugby.
Yeah.
She actually had a coach for me. Yeah. So, but there's no day that I've seen my mom
in the water.
Anasemanga maji imepita basin ya chura mtu. Maji imepita basin ya chura. Wewe unafanya nini kwa maji mingi hivyo? My mom would go to coast.
Hata ingia kwa
na tracksuit. And I think this I don't think I'm the only one. Na atandapo kwa show kick me maji.
Okay, at least my mom swims, but that's only on vacation. But huku Nairobi tu hadharani tu viati, yay, let's go swimming. Na nile tu ya kukaa kwa maji na kushika juice hivyo tu.
Sasa afadhali wako wangu mambo yake ni ngumu.
Mambo yake ni ngumu. Ya tracksuit tumemaliza.
Anaenda maji imepita maji ya basin wachana nayo. Hiyo maji ni ya chura, hiyo maji mingi sana.
So haizi ingia kwa simu.
Haizi. Akufe. Wacha peleke kijana aju. So we come from an era that has experienced both. So when you look at 844 and what the system these guys are going through, rather they are pursuing right now, it's totally different.
Yeah.
I don't know if, because like that to the extent of corporal punishment right now, I don't know if they're being beaten. I don't know.
Right, but ideally, it's not as bad as our time. Let me say that.
Yeah. Then so you realize that PE imefika hapo ndo mwalimu mama wake, and it had to be a science, somebody who's in the science business,
maths,
chemistry,
bio
hakuwa baya sana.
Physics,
bio was an interesting science. Physics au ndo watu sibishi ndio inaangalia.
Na teacher wa geography. PE, like you don't.
Why are you eating into my PE time actually?
And then you see now, that's also the same generation. You see, us we are the ones who are also struggling also with fitness. Because it wasn't prioritized in school.
Come to think about it, you subjected us to diabetes. Why?
Kukimbia kwa field kusaidi kitu yoyote, weka kwa class usome maths. You see, it was never prioritized. So right now ukiniambia niamke 5 niende gym. Hey,
it's a problem, man.
Hapo unajiskuma, like, because it's not something that you were taught to like prioritize.
And then now 844 was just too toxic. I feel like 844 is the relationship we have with Ruto right now.
I know.
It's that bad. Like, it's so toxic. It's
this does not make sense.
I really hope yes, inaitwaje?
Watu wanyako na watoto watatu. Guy, I forget. CBC.
I hope CBC iko na watoto wanaenda choo bila kuomba ruhusa.
At least.
I hope hakuna kukaziwa PE.
Na nikikuja na snacks zangu ni zangu, si ati teacher wants to taste also. Nikupaga na hiyo.
Yako shule yako ilikuwa na njaa sana.
Haiko kwa hivyo.
Mwalimu alikuwa anakula snacks za watoto.
I remember in primary school, I remember one distinct teacher. I can't remember her name, but she used to like your class teacher would have like a small, our classes used to be like this, and then there's like a small office up where your class teacher sits, like that's their office. So and then now the other teachers will come in and out. So it means the class teacher is in class like literally 90% of the time, unless anafunza. There's a chick kwao, mama yake lazima alikuwaga gomesha for something like that. She used to have like
Ati who chef again?
Gourmet chef.
Okay. I'm sure there's a T in that word somewhere.
Ifai
I would have
kusema.
pronounced it better. Proceed.
Ifai kusema. Nikumbusha ile ya ebu pronounce VALET. Hiyo nini?
Valet.
Akis valet.
Wewe wachana na sisi. Endelea. Kashi leo mwalimu alikuwa nakula snacks za watoto. Ulijulia valet wapi? Tuendelee.
Reading widely.
Oh, mwalimu penye yako ache.
Tabia mbaya.
Unakulaje snacks za watoto shule?
Imagine.
Ulikuwa na Ringos hiyo siku?
Ringos ni snack ya huko kwenyu, ya Ukambani.
Wewe. Unajua kitu Ringos inaweza Ringos is premium snacks. Unakula Ringos sasa. Manzi hiyo kitu ni tamu. Ni tamu.
Unaka kuzinunua hivi zinakujanga like zimeshikanishwa hivi like small packet. Unachukua maskaf. Unakula moja ukikata.
Umeniget.
The mom was like or the parents just the person who used to make their food was like snacks top notch. That was the first time niliona like sandwich enye mtu anakatiwa crust huku. Pia mimi nikaenda home niko like haya mbona sisi tukatangi? You know like she just used to have like really nice food. So teacher alikuwa na hang around hapo because desk yake ilikuwa that chick's desk used to be just before now that office for that teacher. Tamuona hapo ikifika time ya break. And you didn't break for teacher anything?
Ala.
And you did imagine it even got to a point at her mom even came to school because when she gets home she says to be packed for break twice as much. Si yenye mimi nitakula sasa ndo dini patie teacher hiyo ingine.
So the folks okay they were in on it.
No, the mom was coming to school like why am I packing snacks for my kid to eat? Alafu ninakuja naambiwa ati mwalimu fulani alafu unajua tena what ended up happening to her. What teacher akaanza kumuonea sasa. Juu sasa mama yake alikuja nini?
Sandwich kwanza imetolewa crust. Mbona unatoa?
Na iko na cheese.
I'm not
to each their own by the way, to each their own.
But
so those things
walimu kwanza wale walimu ati usivae sharpshooter utanashindana na mwalimu.
You can't have nice stationery because you're supposed to be like everyone else. See me, this is the stationery I want to. Si bora niandike notes.
But mimi nilisomea Ocha. So unajua hizo vitu zilikuwa mambo unajua sasa. I went to boarding school quite early. There were type of shoes that when you wear unaambiwa hapana unashindana na mwalimu.
Sasa so vae ni tafiz kama kila mtu.
Ilikuwa deadly mtu wangu.
Ilikuwa gani ni
luku moja baridi. Wewe unataka kushindana na mwalimu na mshipi unavaa? Be very careful. Utapigwa bure juu ya viatu na mshipi unavaa. Utapigwa na makosa. It was
some things like that by the way. I mean kifikiria sasa as an adult I'm like 844 why
844 was trauma imeacha PTSD fulani.
It's true by the way. It has Ebu you tell me about yours, like you feel PTSD about what?
I think for me, as I said, why am I borrowing permission to go to the loo? Secondly, I feel the competitive nature as opposed to the collaborative nature of that kind of system also left with some level of PTSD. Like you have to stand out for you to be considered as a good student, as a good human. It created a very toxic.
It aimed for perfection. I feel like it's
and perfection is not for mortals, man. We just can't be perfect.
That's true.
Kuna watu hawawezi tu. I usually say manze kama unaona mniaju mimi sina mtoi kwa watu.
Tumesema nini?
Mniaju ni mjunior.
Guy proceed.
Hawezi get
as in I feel like it takes a lot of brain power to think useme mniaju kushinda kusema mjunior. Sasa anyway, proceed.
Shida ni circles zina
tumetoka tu kusema tu size to each their own. Na
mimi oni yangu najua kidogo. But ukiona tu mtoi manze kidogo hesabu haingii kizungu kwanza kizungu haingii sasa jua kuna shida mingi. Kwa sababu sasa ukiona siari na kata sasa hapo sasa
jaribu hiyo ni Sunday school tu hiyo itasolve.
Tafuta talent tu ile ina work sukuma yeye huko hii bana unapiga mtu bana bure tu kama hiyo karibu aniue kwa sababu shiki hesabu sishiki
hata mimi
sasa ni do
hesabu pia ilikuwa inakulemea. Saizi tunajua tu ya calculate legal fees.
Wacha tu. But anyway, so for me I think those are some of the two takeaway PTSD moments that would bring me I can call them 844 moments.
For me it was like the fear of making a mistake. Because unajua ukifanya makosa instead of showing me where I made the mistake and why what I did was wrong, you opt to chapa me. And because you're inflicting pain, I don't know, for me, it's those two things. The fact that when you make a mistake, you're also afraid to even admit that you have made the mistake because you know exactly what the consequence will be. So sometimes chances are it takes you longer to learn something than, or you actually never end up learning it at all. Because now, like, if you think about the consequences of you saying the thing that you have done, fadhali tu ikae.
Now that you mentioned that, I just remembered another one. Mbona nipigwe kwa sababu nimepata 98 nimeshindwa kupata mbili? It's an A for crying out loud. Ile kichapo mtu alipata 98 ni mbaya kushinda mtu alipata 60.
Aki 90.
Yani wewe unapata 98 unashindwa kupata mbili.
Hizi mbili uliachia nani? And these are very simple things.
That's a straight A. Boss. But anyway, on to our topic today. Tutakasirika hapa mbona.
Unajua hata nimefeel emotional kidogo. Please tuachane na hiyo story because that was just me. Hapo umenipeleka to somewhere.
I really hope guys who are doing
CBC
are not experiencing such things. I really hope that we can have a conversation because again the generation right now si ya kupigana ni ya let's talk
kwa social media.
I don't know how that will work. But because there's this understanding that from Africa lazima kulwe war. But
anyway, we shall see how it goes. And you see, that's also like an in on its own. If we start going down that road, tutajipata hapa we have discussed some things.
The next part, please share with us your 844 moments.
Yes.
Yeah, what if you are a millennial or even I think some Gen Zs have experienced.
some of them, yeah.
Yes. Most of them actually, because Alphas ndio sidhani kama watanini, but most of the Gen Zs have also been privileged to
experience the 844 system.
Yes. I don't know if it's a privilege, but yes, you've been privileged to experience these problems. Tell us your 844 moments down hapo kwa comment section.
We laugh together.
Tujue ni nini hao walimu walikuwa wanatufanyia.
Sure.
Lakini unakula snacks mtoto anyway.
Hiyo ilikuwa mbaya hiyo.
Hiyo ni noma.
Anyway. Moving on. During our previous episode, the one where we were talking about the various forms of investment that someone can get into, and that we said that someone needs to get into an investment that they understand. And you also spoke very passionately about investing in a business. If you choose the business route, like you've chosen you're investing in a business somewhere, you also need to invest in a business that you understand how it operates. So what I want us to discuss today is, okay, now I am that person. I have gone through all the investment options that there are. I've done my savings. I've done, I've invested small. I've gained a little maybe from the MMF. Maybe I've gained a little from some bonds that I sold. Now they've brought the returns and whatnot. Then now I have done my market research. I want to start a business. I've decided I'm starting a business. Now I want you to talk to us about, basically this episode is starting a business 101. Like everything that you need to know. If you choose to go the business route, what you need to know in order to, while you're setting up and also for the subsistence of the business. Take it away.
Okay, so we have identified the kind of business that we want to get into. When you look, just watch our previous episode on the preliminaries.
Yeah,
for
preliminaries.
That. Risk appetite. Hapo siwezi ongea haraka. The risk appetite, the business you're getting into, how you're funding the business. Now you've decided all these things are checking in, and you've ticked all the boxes, and now you want to register a business. Now the registration of that business, or rather the starting of that business, will be again determined by the industry you're getting into, what you're trying to achieve, and there are different ways in which you can do this. Now, before we go into the specific business vehicles that you can go to, this is what I'll say. Make sure you have a lawyer and an accountant.
Yes.
Before we
start
the conversation, make sure you have a lawyer
and an accountant.
If you can get both in one,
the better.
The better, because you have some lawyers who've done CPA and they understand accounts, finance and things like that. And they can be able to assist you in that direction. We also have that capability at the firm.
Yes.
You can always reach out to us. So that's the first thing. The reason as to why you're saying that and we are insisting on that is because what you're about to talk about will only make sense if you have those two people and that the people who are trained to handle this kind of conversation.
Because they will guide you now.
And what you're going to give you will be the basics. So if you're once you're attending, or rather you are having a meeting with a lawyer, or you're having a meeting with your accountant, what are some of the things that you're going to look out for? If they're telling you a certain thing, what do they mean by this? So the reason as to why it is important that you get these two people is because when you're registering a business, the business can only make sense if it is making profit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the only time a business, or rather the most times when business are going to make profit is if you reduce the overheads. The overheads meaning anything that is paid out as an expense, including taxes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once for you to realize profit is income minus expenses, which is equivalent minus, so revenue is the income, what you bring in, minus expenses
determines your profit.
Yeah. So the expenses should not outweigh
the
revenue.
Yes.
Because then there is a problem. However, there are places when the expenses outweigh the revenue, benefits you.
Okay.
At the tax level, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So now you've gotten these two specialists, and we've now looked at this. What a lawyer is going to tell you, we have several modes as to which you can register these kind of businesses.
Yeah.
We have a sole proprietorship. Yeah. We have a company limited by guarantee. We have a company limited by shares. We have a public traded company. We have a general partnership. We have a limited partnership and a limited liability partnership. And the list goes on and on, depending on what you...
On the nature
and we're going
of the
to break all
business.
this down.
Yes.
So we'll... I think for us to make this very simple and direct, we can say we have a sole proprietorship, which is basically you are the business and the business is you. So the nature of this kind of business is you're registering a certificate to trade as. So if it's Hansen registering this business, I'm registering, I'm actually applying for a certificate that is going to say Hansen will be trading as Hansen Advocates.
Yes.
So it's Hansen, but it's trading as so basically I'm just purchasing a trade name.
Yes.
But it does not mean I'm separated from the business. No.
You are the business and
I am
the business
the business is you.
Yeah.
Now, what is the danger of having and what are the benefits of having such? Now, the benefits of having such is the tax. There's something what we call corporate tax that does not apply to such kind of businesses, and that's where the accountant comes in. And that accountant, make sure is an accountant that understands tax, because not all accountants do tax.
Some of them, or rather the ones that are more common, are the ones who do like the QuickBooks,
the
balancing of the books and whatnot.
Tax is a totally different animal, or ball game. Yeah. So make sure that somebody, if it's a lawyer who combines as an accountant, make sure they also understand how tax works.
Yeah.
So with regards to sole proprietorship, because I am the business and the business is me, it means the tax will be at the personal level.
So you only pay tax, both your own personal taxes and the taxes for that particular
the income
business
that
you
I make,
have started.
Yes.
Is ukilipa umelipa yote wewe mwenyewe. You, if you're compliant, it means the business is also compliant.
Yeah. Yes. So your compliance will also determine the compliance of the business. So that the benefit of that is that there are some taxes that will not apply. As I said, corporate tax, and I'm going to tell you how corporate tax applies, because it's 30% of the income of the business. Now, that will not apply to you. But we have taxes that are going to apply to you, such as withholding tax. If at all I offer a professional service, they're going to withhold
15%. Am I changes?
No, 5%. As withholding tax. If at all you are going to, and withholding tax is in two phases. We have VAT and withholding tax as a federal tax. I don't want to go into that. The details.
Yeah.
But basically...
But that's what your accountant will be telling you about now. Those are the details they'll be telling you, depending on the kind of business that you're setting up. Yeah.
What you just need, your take home should be, if I register a sole proprietorship, which what is commonly known as a business name.
Yeah.
The business is me and I am the business. If Kare hits me or hits the business, they come directly to me.
Yeah.
So there's no separate legal entity between these two. which means that your liabilities are the liabilities of the business.
Yes.
And your profit
Is also the profit of the business. Yeah.
The danger of that is that in the event there's a problem,
Yeah.
you are liable because you are the business.
Yes.
There's no separate, there's no veil.
There's no separation.
There's
no
separation.
sense of separation between the two.
Yes. You're just trading us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is one. Now, I'd like you to take us through. I'd mentioned sole proprietorship. I'd mentioned partnerships. Take us through partnerships in general.
Okay.
Then we can pick it up from there.
Okay. So, like you have mentioned, sole proprietorship are the business name, meaning you are trading by yourself.
Yes.
What if in an instance where, like, there is a partnership now, like two people want to go into business together? I like to use practical examples for me because it's easier to explain that way. Let's say, for example, it's setting up a restaurant. Those seem to be very popular in Nairobi. Literally every day you wake up like, this is a new restaurant that has popped up here. You know, it seems like that one and nightclubs seem like very lucrative businesses in Nairobi because there are so many. Honestly, there are so many.
Are they?
There are so many. So let's work. Lucrative. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So let's work with an example of a restaurant. A restaurant where they serve both like food and can be an entertainment joint as also, like, you know, this alcohol and whatnot. The people who want to go into that business, me and maybe someone, give me names, John and James. John and James have a conversation like, hey bro, you are good, you have good chef, you have culinary skills, So you can make like a menu of like some food we can be serving, and then me, I'm a mixologist. I'll do the cocktails, then we set up the business, then we share this 50-50 or whatever percentage you agree. So now you've spoken, you've agreed, like, okay, so this is how it's going to go. Then you decide, okay, let's go into partnership. Partnership, something like that, is what is called like a general partnership, where there's no demarcation between I own this much and you own this much. Bottom line is both of us are actually involved in this particular partnership. Yes. You see. So you see, in the instance of a partnership like that, then it means also liabilities are shared between the two of you, just the same way profit is shared between the two of you. Yes. So you see, it's largely, again, dependent on the intention of the partners. Because you see, sometimes there can also be an instance where John is the money person and James is the msekwa ground. So John is just, yes, they're in a partnership, but he didn't do anything. He's a silent partner. He just makes sure that the business has money. And then James is the one who's on the ground, who's making sure waru ililetwa ya kupika chips hiyo siku, nini, garia, ilitwaje, that place for EABL limeleta like the ingredients that you need for the, stuff like that. Like his work is basically to make sure that the business is running. But the thing that I'd like to clarify the most, or what I'd want to point out in an instance like that, is regardless of the fact that John is the money person and James is the one qua ground, profits belong to them. Liabilities belong to them in equal measure, because there's no demarcation who owns what.
Yes.
Because if there was that form of demarcation, is where now it will lead me to, I don't know if you want to touch on taxes on that one before I proceed.
So on that one, remember that business name that I've just spoken about?
Yes.
This general partnership will be registered as such.
Yes.
Where it is still a business name, but
has more than one person.
Has more than one person.
Yeah.
So there is no transparency. There's no separation.
Yeah.
There's transparency. We see through the business. We are the business and you are the business. So in this case, it would be Hansen and Valerie trading as the White Podcast.
Exactly. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the trade name is just what is, so that we don't have Hansen and Valerie. For us to look professional, we say our name is the White Podcast.
Yeah.
But ideally, it is supposed to, at that point, let me not go to ideally because I would have gone to the next point. At that point, the taxes that you pay, the moment you're compliant and I'm compliant, then the general partnership is compliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we have to both of us have to
Have to be compliant.
So in an instance, let's say for example, if I'm compliant, if John is compliant in the tax department, but James is not, so it means that it exposes the business in a way through James's part.
Through James's part, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if Kere were to come and get James and then especially yeye ni mtu wa kwa ground. Unajua yeye ndio anafaa kwa hapo akifanya kazi. So akichotwa na watu wa Kere na nini, you see at the end of the day it ends up affecting the business also.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's why I was saying if for general partnership there is no sense of separation. That's the one point that I want to make clear.
Yes.
There's no sense of separation.
Sense of separation, yes.
The business name, the certificate of business name. I mean,
certificate, business name.
Business name. You're that one. Kwa your certificate, when someone does a search, all it does is it just shows who are the owners of this particular business.
Yes.
That's it. But there's no saying since John is the money person, he owns the business more than James owns the business more.
Yeah,
there's no sense of separation.
Valerie and Hansen.
Yeah.
The Wide Podcast. Yes.
Trading as the Wide Podcast, like that. So I know the next question that would come up, or what would come up in someone's mind as at now, is what if I want that sense of separation?
So that sense of separation is what brings protection. What you should have picked by now is that when you're doing a business name, which is a cheaper way because it's just like 1,000 bob or something.
And 350. 350.
It's unless ilipunguka, the last time I did it was like 1,000 bob or something.
Okay, it's like 350.
I think, okay, we'll check. But it's
quite affordable.
But the kind of exposure you're getting yourself into,
it's quite high.
Super high. Super high because we see through the business.
Yeah.
And the essence of business, remember, it is to make sure that you maximize on profits. So the only way you maximize on profits is if you find a way, first of all, to separate yourself from the business. So that whatever you're earning is not linked to what the business is making. Of course, you can separate still with the business name. I'm not saying you cannot entirely. It's just that when there's a liability, you're exposed.
Personally liable.
You're so exposed. And there's no limit to that exposure, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But when you want to separate, that means you're talking about a company. And in this case, we'll specifically deal with private companies limited by shares. Because you have other companies, but in this case, I think we'll specifically deal with that company limited by shares. Just because you're talking about business and profit making.
Yes.
That is what people call a limited company. What you'd hear, limited company.
As in, it's like, it is something that you hear, like, for example, the Wide Podcast Limited
or LTD.
Any name that has LTD or limited at the end of it means it is a limited liability company.
Yes.
Or limited by shares, yeah?
Yes, limited by shares. So now, what is the advantage and disadvantage of going that direction? Now, if you're just starting a business and you decide, yes, we are two of us, but you do not want to go the general partnership. We don't want to do a partnership because we will be exposed in terms of liability. Of course, profits is not an exposure, it's a benefit.
Yeah, it's a benefit.
We would like to separate ourselves from the business so that if the business is suffering, we are not suffering. That's where the limited company or private limited company comes in.
Yeah.
Now, it is still a form of partnership because, and you can actually register a limited company alone by yourself.
Yeah.
You can be a sole shareholder. You must not have somebody else, and you'll still be separated.
Yeah. The beauty of that, maybe so that it's not too confusing, because then now you see we've also said the same thing when it comes to the business name. The beauty of that is it ties to the same point that you are making. The point is separation of you yourself from the business.
Yes.
In the instance that, let's say, for example, let's still work with that restaurant idea with John and James. John and James have registered like JJ Bistro, something like that, right? But the business is making money, but because I am separate, because John and James are separate from the business, they can be poor, they can be broke. I hate that word. They can be broke or not have like a lot of cash flow, but the business does. Ideally, what I was saying was, in this separation moment, it means that in this now, we're looking at JJ Bistro now that they have set up. In this instance, then it means that if John and James are broke in their personal capacity and the business is doing well, they are separate people. If they and in the same sense, if the business is doing poorly, but then they are balling personally, they have no obligation in their personal capacity to
Mm.
pump money into the business. It is their choice. You
Yes.
will only do that as your choice as a director. As a director, like now you're bringing in extra funding now for the business.
Correct.
Yeah. So you see now that's the beauty of registering a company.
Mm.
Another advantage that it also has is the fact that not only does it give separation between the individuals, John and James, from JJ Bistro, it also gives a separation of them in their personal capacity
Mm.
because it is limited by shares.
Mm.
We could have registered the company 50-50 or maybe 20-10 or 5-95, depending on how you agree. That means that if I own 95% or if I own 50% of the company or 50 of the shares in the company, if there are 100, that is, it means then that the profits that come in once we remove our expenses, I take home 50, you take home the other 50. If I own 80, you take home the 20, me I take home the 80. And also in equal measure, it also comes to the liabilities of the company. If you own more, I mean, should be rather obvious.
Yes.
I mean, you're getting more money.
Yes,
Afu
yes.
ikifika
The
kwa shida
liability,
unataka
hapana.
kuchukua kidogo.
It will be limited. It's called a limited company because it will be limited to the number of shares you.
Precisely, you hold.
Correct.
Yeah. So if it is 80%, if you hold 80%, then you see if in an instance like that, see we remember from that example you said John was a money person, James is a guy on ground. In an instance where like the company, let's say, is struggling and like it needs like a capital injection of some sort, because of the shareholding, James is actually justified to say that we need 1 million. I'm only bringing to 200K. Because I own 20% of the
Correct.
company.
Unless-
you find the other 80.
Unless I give you 1 million and the company owes me,
Yeah.
which is another conversation.
Which is also another conversation.
Yes.
But on the face of it as is, he is very justified to say, yes, I know we need 1 million, Bob, but me, I only own 20% of the company, so me, I'm only bringing 200K. You figure out the other 800. You see? And if the liability of this company is that we owe our suppliers, watu wenye wanatuletea nini, ma drinks, na food, na nini, we owe them 600K. Me, I'm only paying 20% of that 600K. You're paying the other 800, the other 80% of that. So that's also that's the point I was trying to drive at when I was talking about like the essence of like the separation of the two, if that's what you're looking for.
And also, that is very correct. So it would be important that we also note that this separation has advantages, as we've said in the previous business vehicles, and disadvantages.
Yeah.
Now, the advantages could be, depending on how you've structured, you can be able to run your life with this company.
Yeah.
By running your life, I mean everything you do, whether you go on holiday, whether you pay for your children's school fees, whether you buy shopping for your house, all that money is paid through the company.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying, that is because at the tax level, the company attracts what we call a
corporate tax.
Corporate tax, which is 30% for companies that are Kenyan companies. By Kenyan companies, the companies that have been registered in Kenya. A foreign company, it's a company that has been registered not in Kenya, if you have to say so.
Yeah.
But then also has operations here.
Yeah.
So whether it's owned by a foreigner, but it is registered here, that's a Kenyan company.
Yes.
For purposes of investment. In some areas, when you're buying land, that will be regarded as a foreign company.
Yeah.
And it has an effect. But we're not talking about land today. We're just talking about investments in general. So you have a Kenyan company that attracts 30% in terms of income tax, corporate tax. Now, this corporate tax is a tax that because when you're buying things at the supermarket, when you're going for holiday, there's VAT.
Yes.
That is paid towards such services or goods. Now, if this money is noted to have come from the accounts of the company, then it means at the end of the returning year, you can use this particular VAT payments or receipts to claim for tax deduction. So it reduces the 30%. If you have to pay 30 and the VAT and the 30% is up to 100, it's up to 1,000 shillings, and the VAT receipts add up to 800 shillings, then the only tax due to the government is 200 shillings.
Yeah.
But if it goes beyond the 1,000 shillings, then again you've saved yourself paying 30%.
Does that mean that if it exceeds that, I'm the one who's supposed to claim from the government, right?
Yes, but I don't think they will.
No, ile kupatiana hiyo ni sawa. Najua hatutapatiwa.
Yes.
The kind of country we live in, we know it's an uphill battle, but principally I'm supposed to be claiming from the government.
Because they okay, because it's a deduction. I would not certainly say you need to claim for an excess. But if you are to pay 30% and then you pay, let's say for instance 30% is 1,000 and you pay 1,500, then that 500 should be returned to you. But if it's a deduction, it's a benefit to you, because you see, this is the normal day-to-day life. You would have gone to the supermarket anyway. You would have gone for holiday anyway. You would have gone for to buy fuel anyway.
The difference is the account where that money comes from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you do that within the company's account and you claim for tax deductions, then it means at the end of the year, there's a limited meaning of corporate tax. There's a limited amount of corporate tax that you should pay. If at all, remember, the tax is paid on profits. Yeah.
Once you have deducted the expenses
in this case.
So in an instance,
in this case, we have tax that is paid on gross income, which you're going to talk about, like turnover tax, which also affects companies. It's 3%, no, 1.5%. Sorry, it was the proposal to 3%. It's 1.5% of the gross income. If the money is made is 1 million and above. If you make 1 million and above, then you also pay turnover tax on top of the 30%, and it's a final tax. It's not a tax subject to deductions.
It's like it's a mandatory one.
If you make so that's an extra tax that you attract. So the easiest way is you'd rather pay the 1.5% than pay 30%.
Because that's
if that VAT can deduct the 30%
from the corporate.
I hope I'm not confusing people.
No, it's very clear, because you see what you're saying is just so to break it down, let me know if I've understood it correctly. There's the VAT that is paid on almost 95% of goods and services that you procure.
Correct.
You get an eTIMS receipt or receipt proving that VAT was paid against this. You keep that receipt.
Yes.
Then now, at the end of when now you're declaring your tax, the corporate tax, which is the 30% that is mandatorily paid by all companies as long as they are a limited liability company.
Yes.
You see whatever has you've deducted the expenses and whatnot. Your profit is, let's say, 400,000 that year. 400,000, but you have all these VAT receipts that you could also include as expenses that maybe match up to, let's say, 90,000, 90 to 100,000, right? And then they're now like the real expenses of the business. Then now what you're paying corporate tax with on the gain is probably like something like 50K.
Yes.
That's what corporate tax is. That's what you have explained that part.
Correct.
Then there is the 1.5%, which is turnover tax that is payable by all companies that make 1 million
and above. And the upper limit is 25. 1 million to 25 million.
Okay.
So a company that is making more than 25 million will not be required to pay turnover tax, but it will be required to declare all the income as the 30% as corporate tax.
As corporate tax, okay.
So when you look at this bracket of 1 million to 25 million, they're targeting the middle class, and that is so wrong.
Yeah. They're actually that's actually very unfair, because if you look at
as much as we are the most, we are just
there are 3 tiers.
SMEs and
those are 3 tiers of taxation.
Yes.
That if you're making more money than that, you're exempted of one because you're making more money. It's supposed to be the other way around. If you're making more money, then it means now you're the one who should be like Nene.
Correct. So the middle class are being but that's
capitalism.
Not, yes. So when you run your life using your company, or rather when you run your business using your company, it is going to separate you from the business, which means if at all I owe Val 10 million and I've run into losses and we did business and there was no fraudulent activities that led us to go to run losses. We were doing things and we were very prudent and we used principles of good. Proper governance was actually in place.
Yeah.
But then business didn't just come to fruition. And we ran a loss. Then we can only pay you what we can. And if at all I'm bringing the issue of fraud is because the company will be the one that owes you, not me.
Not Hansen in your own personal capacity. Yeah.
Yes. If there was good faith, there was proper governance, things just didn't work out. It is the company that owes you. And when the company goes into debt, you deal with the company.
Not me.
Not me. So as
hata nikikuona ukiball uko Dubai na nini, there's nothing I can do because hiyo ni pesa ya Hansen.
Si pesa ya
Hansen Limited. Nasikia hiyo?
Yeah.
Hapo ni kama unafunza watu kukua.
So the thing is, the threshold here, that's where the lawyer comes in. Prove that there was no fraud.
Yeah.
To make sure that ukugonga wase uko nje, just for you to make a profit. The business makes a loss so that you don't pay your credit. Your creditors. Yeah. Now, if at all the business is doing too well again, and James and John have this company, and they decide they're going to be paying themselves $1 a day, $1 a year, then it means that all shopping ya nyumba, watoto wao, everything, anything that attracts, maybe say, let's say VAT, which is not a final tax, can be used to reduce the tax bracket of the, because you see, once tax is paid on income is revenue minus expenses. A tax is an expense. Kinda, but in this case, once you remove a tax, let's not look at it that way. I'll confuse you. It's revenue minus expenses. Expenses meaning this is what I paid to buy. I bought chairs. I bought a new desk. I bought a new laptop. I bought all these expenses brought together. Now uongeze easy VAT receipts. They can reduce that 30% for you significantly. Yeah. And then you end up paying only one tax. And because you paid yourself $1 a year, you don't pay. So you saved yourself for the second tax.
Okay, so on that bracket of taxation, just so we can close up on the part for the companies.
Yes.
I've picked up 5 levels so far. There is the corporate tax.
Yes.
That is there.
Yes.
There is the VAT.
Yes.
There's turnover tax. There's payee.
Yes.
Actually, those are 4.
Yes.
And
so of course, there's another called digital services tax. If at all that company is selling things online.
You see, there's also that.
Yes.
So there are very many levels. Basically, the point you're trying to make is that there are so many levels of taxation, but there are ways to avoid having to pay that tax.
I think what I need to also bring out is tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is illegal. If you can plan your business in a manner that it can avoid certain taxes to increase your profitability, it is not illegal.
No one will come and beat you.
But if you evade,
you're supposed to pay corporate
but
tax,
you evade.
But then now you
find ways. Yes. Now that's a problem.
Yeah, that's I think it was important to clarify so that even if by the time someone is choosing business as an investment, because that's the whole angle that actually got us into this conversation in the first place. Someone choosing to invest in a business as a way to generate consistent income, they also needed to be aware of the different levels of taxation that go into that. So if you see, I want to ask you, if you compare a company, limited liability company, to a business name, if that one that you were saying, on a tax basis only, which one do you think would be better?
Company. A company, limited company, yes. Because the exposure is less. If you get into debt, they don't come for you, they come for the company. So long as you've been working properly in terms of your governance, you've not been doing shady businesses just to defraud creditors. The company is going to save you a lot of heartache and headache.
Yeah. And it puts also, I think I also agree with you, but for me, it's just how it puts everything into structure.
Yes.
It structures your life in a way that you're organized.
And it also gives you an advantage or an opportunity for you to live life without being worried. You don't need to. And that's how rich people make their money anyway.
Yeah. And even if you're asked to declare your assets, you can if you do it that way, you just look like a really broke person. Hauna kitu, una earn $1 per month. Lakini somehow your house is paid, somehow you're going on vacation, somehow your kids are going to school, everything is fine.
These are not details for KRA to come and start finding ways.
Pana.
No, we are just educating people with the
what the law is right now. Of course, they don't want you to know information like that because you're paying of that. The more taxes you pay, the more the government makes anyway. Correct. I think it's just important information. I want us to also touch on something that another structure that is similar to limited liability company. Remember when we were talking about the general partnership, where we were saying that there is no separation at all. There are also some certain professions and some certain business models that do not allow for registration of a company, but can provide a hybrid of that, which is a limited liability partnership.
Good.
Instances of that are like us as lawyers. If you want to work with more than one, but also you want that sense of separation.
Yes.
As we can't register a company, you register a limited liability partnership. The same also applies to architects and I think engineers as well. I'm not very sure, but the one I know for sure is architects. So it also applies to that. So I wanted us to talk about to touch on that, because maybe if someone is saying that, oh, I'm in this profession and I'd like to set up something, but it does not allow me to do this. There's also the option of a limited liability partnership.
Correct.
Limited liability partnership works exactly like a limited liability company.
Yes.
The structure. It's only that. What's the difference really?
It is a hybrid of a partnership. What you said, a general partnership is.
Yes, and a company. Yeah.
So the partners are separate.
In their individual capacity. Yes. From the partnership. Yeah.
So the partnership can own property, it can be sued and be sued in its own name. It can, but now the advantage that and what we call an LLP, a limited liability partnership, has, it doesn't have corporate tax. It doesn't have turnover tax.
Yes.
Those are some of the things those are some of the advantages.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to how tax is paid, it is on the partner. Individually.
So
in this case, the partner will pay himself $1 a year
for doing all that hard work.
The company is paying for everything.
Yeah.
The limited liability partnership
is paying for
everything.
So you pay yourself $1
a year,
and then $1 a year. So that means you have avoided pay, because then now you don't rank on that nini for pay. The minimum for pay, I think 24,000. Someone wants 24,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you earn 100 bob,
yeah.
Inamaanisha unatengeneza pesa ngapi kwa mwezi jamani?
Yeah.
100 bob a year.
But of course, the KRA will read into your intention. That's the law is interpreted in different ways. Yeah. Ideally, when we look at it in the strict sense of it, it is not.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But then when they start digging into the intention, then they start saying the spirit of the law and all these things. You can decide to pay yourself not so much. Yeah. Not necessarily $1 a year, but just enough to minimize the kind of taxes and let the partnership deal with the other things.
Exactly.
Because the partnership does not pay corporate tax. So it's actually a very good business model if at all you want to go that direction. Now, the only challenge is with the partnership, you can't be less than two. You must have a partner. Yeah. That's why it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So in this case, a limited liability
be your own partner.
You can't be your own partner. You can't partner yourself.
Yeah.
You can't partner yourself if there's a word like that. So the advantage is the tax, it doesn't attract so much tax. But VAT, of course.
VAT, of course, is
payable.
Yes,
because if it's a service you're offering, VAT will be payable. And VAT is paid by the person who you're billing. Yeah. Most times.
So you see, that's not an expense on your part. It becomes an expense on your part. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think that's the gist of what like the different structures of businesses and what they do.
Yes. So I think just to a quick run through is that a sole proprietorship or a business name and a general partnership don't have separation.
Yeah,
You are the
there's
business,
no sense of separation. You are the business and the business is you.
For limited company and a limited liability partnership, there is separation.
Yeah.
The business has a different life of its own.
And so do the
partners or the directors, shareholders have a business of their own. Have a life of their own. And
even the second tier of that is there's also a sense of separation between the actual directors or the shareholders based off of like how much of the company they own.
If there is loss in business name and general partnership or
50-50.
Yes, and there is tutakuwa kujia. In
your individual capacities,
will come for you.
Yeah.
For a limited liability partnership, for a limited company rather, and
limited liability
let's start with a limited company. Limited company, your liability is limited to the number of shares
that you hold.
Yeah. Anything beyond that, it is not my problem, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For limited liability partnership, there are also shares in that.
Mhm.
So it will be limited to the number of shares you own as a partner. Or if it's loss or if it's profit. Yeah, we have tiers of partnership. If it's not equal, that is.
Yeah. So another thing now, as we wind up, now that we have touched on that, na leo to wind up ile ukweli, si ya ku wind up 20 minutes. I want you seem to have some nuggets of wisdom over here about like different strategies that someone can consider when starting a business. So I'd like us to discuss for you, like tell me top 3 things that for you are like a non-negotiable when doing a business and you think is important information to share.
Okay. My non-negotiables are one, I'd say if we cannot have an honest conversation, let's start from there. If I'm partnering with somebody, for instance, if we cannot lay down things in black and white, then that will be a problem, because stones left unturned in business can be very messy. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, corporate governance does not start when you have money. Good corporate governance starts when you start the business. So don't wait until you have money. That's when you start separating your money from the business. No. Start
from the onset.
Yeah. That's another negotiable for me. And number 3, I think I said this in the previous episode, don't invest in what you don't know.
Do your research. Yeah. Don't be buying like me. I was remember that I was telling you that I think like one of the most lucrative businesses someone can run in Kenya is a liquor store, and then you told me that, are you sure really
it is not an easy business?
No, you see me, I'm on the outside. You see on the outside looking in, me I'm just seeing ni duka tu hivi, make sure tu delivery imekuja, uko na license na demo yako hapo.
Kwanza demo yako hapo na delivery. You'll notice that they can come up with a scheme with the delivery guy. Whatever is being delivered is not what you ordered, is what they
have agreed.
Yes. Yeah. So what is being sold, you can see stock moving, but it's not your stock.
Me, if I look at the money, I'm like, it's not translating.
Na jakuibia, when you do stock taking, whatever you ordered is there, but it's not moving, but there are sales being done. So what are we selling?
Okay. You see, that's exactly me. Now I didn't know that, but yeah, I do agree with you on that one. On saying that do not invest in a business that you don't know. Those are crucial. Mine would be number 1, strategy is key. Like, yes, you might have done your research in the particular business that you want to do and everything, but the strategy of how you go about that. So like now what you're mentioning now about like stock inasonga, duka yako iko busy lakini stock yako haiendi, lakini somehow vitu zinauzwa. You know, like strategy, if you're looking to go into that kind of business, if you understand the nature of that business, then now it will allow you to strategize. Like, okay, I can foresee a risk of this happening. So to avoid this, let me do this. To avoid this, let me do this. For me, like that, being able to strategize like that is key in business, because at least it allows you to like prepare yourself mentally for how things would. It's like doing a fire drill. You know, in case of fire, this is what is supposed to happen. So if you start to picture scenarios like that, and then now you put like mikakati, you put
mikakati.
You put measures in place.
Unatenga. Living in Kenya will make you start speaking like other people.
I know, right?
Oh well, yeah.
You put the right measures in place to like, you know, avoid that risk as much as possible. That's why mikakati yake guy paka tumefanya lose train of thought kidogo. Oh my god, sasa mbona unanifanyia hizi vitu sasa. 1 was strategy. Number 2, yes, I've remembered, flexibility.
Yes.
Business, you could have intended like to do business EV like this direction, and then the market forces you to go a different direction. You know, that flexibility. You don't be too rigid in business. You can't succeed when you're being rigid. Like you need to be able to be flexible. Like, okay, even ndio vitu zinaenda. Yeah. So if you don't have that rigidity is what is going to kill your business. A way that I see that a lot now is the fact that a lot of things are going digital.
Yes.
if you choose to stay in the analog way, you don't have an Instagram page or like your products are not on Jumia, but you want me to buy. So me nitoke home all the way, nikuje Tao, nikuje ninunue whatever you want. Yet there's someone else who's selling me the same thing. Na italetwa to the comfort of my house. Me, I'd rather do that.
Correct.
You see, now you're crippling your business while at it. Yeah. So flexibility is key. And then my all-time favorite is like problem solving is very important. Na inoje inakuanga hivi to the T. Leo ni huku. Kesho itakuwa hii. Today it is this. Like problems will always be there in business. So like problem solving skills are very important. Take a class if you need to. There are classes for these things nowadays. They invest in yourself so that you're able to show up in the business. You know, like problem solving skills is something that for me feels like it's very important. Yeah. So those are my 3 things.
Ah, great. It's been an exciting...
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this. For some reason.
Even me. Like of all of the episodes we've shot, this one was fun.
This one was fun. Yeah. This one, and I think the employment one I really enjoyed as well. This is interesting.
Yeah.
So we should have more of this. Yeah.
We should. Maybe now from season 2 now we can start like to bring experts to break down different aspects of that. So that we can have like even wider conversations about that.
No, nimewing.
Nimetry. Nimetry. Guy, I hope nimetokea vizuri kwa kamera. Mr. Editor, kama sijatokea vizuri ukate hiyo part. Kama sijatokea vizuri please ukate hiyo part. I hope. Anyway, anything else to add?
No, none from me at this point.
None from you at this hour?
At this hour and the point.
Okay. Sawa. Thank you so much, everybody. If you've gotten to this part of the episode, thank you so much for watching. We really, really appreciate your support, and we hope that you're learning. We hope that you're picking up like important information from these episodes that we put out, because that's the aim of this platform in the first place. So thank you so much for watching. This will be the end of our episode. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share this video, and follow us on our social media pages at The Wide Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.
Peace.
Out.